Hi and welcome. My name is Gwen and I'm the founder of Breath is Prayer. And if you are here with me now, that means that you are going to do an upcoming Breath is Prayer journey with me. And I'm so excited to have you join me on this journey of awakening and deepening and opening and letting go. And at the end of the day, coming home to yourself. So what I'd love to share with you here on this video is how to prepare your space, how to prepare yourself, how to breathe, and also what you might possibly experience during our time together. So during our journey, you're going to be breathing in a conscious, connected way through an open mouth. And that's going to be set to a musical journey and verbally facilitated by me. To prepare your space for this journey, what I would recommend is to be lying on your back, something underneath your knees for lower back support, and also perhaps a slight cushion for your head, something not too high so that it would obstruct your breathing, but just enough to really make sure you're comfortable. Your overall comfort is essential. You want to make sure you've got the blankets you need, some water by your side, maybe some chapstick before we start, and a journal and something to write with for the end of your journey so that you can put down what your experience brought to you, the gifts that it brought to you. And as far as preparing yourself, please don't eat a heavy meal just prior. It's not easy to breathe powerfully when you've got a full belly. And that's pretty much it. Aside from comfortable clothing, you would maybe want to have something to cover your eyes, an eye mask, for example, and headphones if you have them. Obviously, uninterrupted time while you're in the breath work, so turning your cell phones off and making sure that you have a do not disturb sign on your door. Just kidding. And as far as what you might experience, so every time we do a breathwork journey, it is going to be completely unique and catering to exactly what you most need to tap into within yourself in that moment. It might be incredibly insightful, cathartic, restful, etc. And please know that there's no hierarchy of experiences, that you're always going to get exactly what you most need in the moment, that there's this vast field of intelligence within and without that will create the highest outcome for you in that moment, in that journey. And so along those lines, we're going to be bringing in a lot more oxygen and energy than you're used to in your day-to-day life, and you may experience an abundance of sensations. So those sensations can range from feeling extremely pleasurable, perhaps a sense of vitality or sensuality, to actually somewhat uncomfortable for a moment. You might experience some tension, you might experience an ache, and if you can stay with your breathing throughout, know that all sensations are energy and they will move, whether you love them or you don't particularly like them in the moment. Now, you may also experience emotions, and again, emotions ranging from the greatest highs to the lowest lows. So from exuberance and joy to fear, anger, and grief. And again, staying with your breath and allowing your breath to acknowledge whatever is coming up within you, knowing that the music or my words are not creating anything that wasn't already there, that you are simply tapping into some held emotional energy somewhere in your body, and it's coming up to be acknowledged and maybe even to be released. You may experience imagery, you may have insights, memories may come up. You may also have a spiritual mystical experience. For some people that may be hearing the voice of God, for others it may be tapping into their spirit guides, or just simply experiencing the oneness. So again, just reiterating, whatever your experience is exactly what you most need in the moment to bring you one step closer towards your inherent wholeness. So there's something called tetiny that I'd love to share with you as well. And tetiny is when there's a rigidity that may develop at some point in the journey. Tetiny feels like cramping, often it's in the hands, and you may have lobster claws, as we call them, but it could really be anywhere in the body where all of a sudden there is a tremendous amount of contraction. Tetiny is normal, it's safe, and it's definitely not permanent. That's the good news. And if you can just stay with your breathing once again and see if you can simply be with what is in the moment. And know that this is just simply coming about because on some level there's some control kicking in and your exhale is not freely releasing. So there's a buildup of CO2, which again isn't dangerous. Some of you may have even experienced this in your day-to-day lives and have wondered what this is. My advice to you is with the tetany is just to notice it, to be with it. Now that you know it's a possibility, then you don't have to go into alarm and you can see if you can soften into what is. So there's something else that I'd like to offer to you with regard to tetany or even any other type of experience that you may have, and that is periodically you are welcome to use your voice in this way. So if you inhale deeply and exhale, making the ah sound. Try that with me one more time. So deep inhale, ah. And notice what happens for you in your body when you make that ah sound, when you let the vibration of your voice resonate throughout you. So what you may have experienced is it's releasing. Others may have noticed that it is relaxing or even soothing. And it may even feel a little bizarre to you, but our bodies have this wonderful connection to our voice that just drops us right out of our heads and into our centers. And so if we are feeling overwhelmed with something like tetany, you are always welcome to make that ah sound and to help release some of that energy, to help release some of the judgment that you may be having about it, to soften the body. And you may find that you use that ah sound many times throughout the journey, or you may not use that ah sound at all. Know that the reins are in your hands during this time, meaning that I'm going to be inviting you to breathe in a fairly powerful way. We're going to start off slowly, but then we're going to build and escalate with our breath. You're welcome to join me as I facilitate and encourage you to breathe more powerfully. You're also welcome to take it at your own pace. The more powerfully you breathe, typically the bigger your experience is going to be. The more gently you breathe, the more subtle your experience is going to be. That's often the case. There's never black and white. So it's up to you to tune into where you are when we begin the journey and how big or gentle you want your experience to be, and to breathe accordingly. If you have any kind of medical conditions, if you have psychiatric diagnoses, I would encourage you to check in with your doctor or your psychiatrist before you breathe with me, and to make sure that you have the okay to breathe in this way. Or if you don't have the okay, feel free to lie on your back with us and to breathe either through the nose or to simply breathe in the way that you normally breathe and enjoy the music, the facilitation, and the group energy. And know that you will have an experience as well. So, we're ready to breathe. Now, as I said, we're going to be breathing through an open mouth. And I mean a nice, generously open mouth, right? So find that place now where you can drop your mouth open to where it still feels relaxed, but it's nice and open. We're receiving here. We're receiving an abundance of oxygen, life force energy, consciousness, and connection to spirit. So this is a posture of receiving. It's also an opportunity to let go of the control that we typically exert in our jaws. And it's a way of breathing that needs to be made conscious. We're not walking around typically with our mouths hanging open and breathing. So here we kind of have to pay attention to our breath, which is actually what we want. That's something that I want to encourage you, is just simply focus on your breathing. You don't need to breathe anything in or breathe anything out. This is an opportunity. Breath is prayer. Journey is an opportunity to surrender to something greater. So all we do is co-create by opening ourselves up and committing to our breath, and we let something greater guide the way. So nice big open mouth, deep inhale. Now feel yourself breathing diaphragmatically. So what I mean by that is that soft spot just below the sternum is your diaphragm. If you put your fingertips lightly there, you can feel the softness. Now the fingertips are simply there to bring attention to your diaphragm. Now with a big open mouth, inhaling as deeply as you can. Exhale, just let that exhale fall away. So, practicing together, we're going to breathe diaphragmatically through a nice big open mouth. We're going to inhale and just let the breath go to every part of your body. Just feel as if you're breathing into your fingertips, the top of your head, your toes. Your belly and your chest are going to rise and fall with each breath. I like to think of the breath as a wave. So the wave is building, the energy of the wave is building, that's the inhale. We crest, we take that breath to our fullest capacity. The exhale is that wave crashing. So it's spontaneous, it's free. The exhale is the part of the breath that we have learned to control the most. So this is where we want to let go of control. So you don't feel like you have to breathe everything out either, because that's where we go back into contraction. We're living in a state of contraction most of the time. We want to reverse that. We want to move into a state of openness. We want to soften our bodies and become conduits for as much of life as wants to move through us, as wants to flow through us. So we just let that free exhale flow out. And the most important part is that this is a circular breath, meaning that we flow the inhale into the exhale, into the inhale back, and circling around again and again. Now, just a word of caution, when we first start breathing in this way, each and every journey, we may feel our throats dry right out of the gate. Know that your throat will itself adjust over the course of the journey. And if you can just visualize or think about your throat being as open and soft as it possibly can be, that is the one thing that I would invite you to do. Just think that throat open and soft, and then let it go, knowing that it's going to adjust itself. The mouth will get dry. And so periodically you're welcome to close your mouth briefly, refresh it, and then come back to that open mouth breathing, that circular breathing. So let's practice that together 3 times. So just placing your arms wherever they feel comfortable, and big open mouth, and here we go. Deep inhale, free exhale. So how did that feel? I'm just inviting you to check in and notice how that felt. I know all of you who did this with me felt something. That's the beauty of breath, is we feel something right out of the gate. For some of you, you may have felt lightheaded. Know that in the breathwork journey, if you're lying down, that'll translate into you going deeper. Some of you may have felt energized. Some of you may have felt that you had a release. There are many different types of experiences you may have had. But I'm inviting you from here on in, really notice what's happening in my body. What's happening in my heart? What's happening within me? Because this is what breathwork brings us to. It brings us into a deep connection with ourselves, heightened self-awareness, and gives us an opportunity to learn some new truths about who we are, and maybe to let go of some untruths that we may have been carrying. Thank you so much for joining me here today, and I can't wait to breathe together soon.